Hello YouTube. So I'm gonna do a little gear expose on some of the gear that I use for recording and practice and live performance, etc. and to jam with. Okay, basically stuff like that. So this is like kind of my gear, not a review, this is stuff that I own and use. But anyway, so this is the VHT Pittbull Classic. So real quick, this amplifier is a very feature-rich amplifier. It's got a lot of stuff going on. You can get a lot of different tones out of it. 3 channels. It's great for live performance. Let's go through what it's got here. First, starting off here, we got the low and the high input. The low is going to sound a little bit more meatier. I've been using this lately. I used to use exclusively just the high input, but I've been kind of liking the low lately. It's just a little bit more meaty sounding. So here we got the lead channel, which you have gain and volume, okay, but you also have an edge switch, which gives you a little distortion kind of fuzzy boost, okay, for your distorted sound. This is the switch which will engage the lead channel. And then we have the rhythm. We got gain, volume, okay, treble, middle, bass. The treble, middle, bass is shared by the lead channel, okay, as well as the shift. This is a mid-range shift switch. So for your rhythm, you got a boost though, which this boost acts depending on how you have it set, how much distortion you have on your rhythm channel. The boost is going to give you more saturated distortion, or if you have it fairly set fairly clean, it will give you a little bit of a gain boost. So it depends on kind of how you have it set. But in any event, the boost will give you more distortion on your rhythm channel. Okay, the lead channel does not have that. It's just the lead channel. Gain, volume. You have this edge switch, which gives you a little different character change and a little bit of a gain boost. Not much, but it kind of brings out the treble in it too. And you have that here on the rhythm channel as well, this edge switch. Okay, treble, middle, bass, and the mid-range shift is shared between these 2 channels. Okay, so, and of course here's your rhythm and gauge switch. Then these are all foot switch level. I'll talk about the foot switch in a minute. So now you got your clean channel. This is an independent channel. You only have one volume here, treble, middle, bass. You got a mid shift over here, you got a bright switch over here, and a boost switch. Now since this is clean, you're mostly getting a volume boost when you hit that booster switch. But if you give it a little bit of a rougher tone and crank the volume all the way on this thing, the boost is going to give you slightly more saturation, mostly volume, because this is clean. So on the rhythm, it depends on how you have this set. You get an awful lot of distortion out of these 2 channels right here. This channel is mostly clean, okay. Then you have your master section, okay, so those are your 3 channels. Now you have a master equalization. This is a graphic EQ. It's not a tube EQ, okay. It is a solid state EQ, but it's similar to the Mesa style EQs. The Mesa has a 5-band. This is a 7-band, 100, 250, 630, 1.2K, 2.3K, and 5K. So you get 7 instead of 5. Better. Yeah, it's a nice sounding EQ. It sounds great. It's not a Pultec, but I mean, Pultec is a tube-driven equalization, but it does the job, and it's also foot switchable. Okay, so now we have the master volume. Okay, And this is a nice volume control. It's not like a Marshall where you push it like a millimeter and it just you know, kills your ears. This is very, very smooth and controllable throughout the whole entire sweep. It's really nice. Alright, now we got the power switch, okay, obviously, and the standby switch. The standby switch, this is full power, okay, both sets of tubes. It's got 4 EL34s in here, and this is just two tubes, okay. So before I turn this thing around, I'm going to show you a little bit about the foot switch and how this works. This is pretty nice. This connects to the back with like a multi-pin connector. So we have switchable equalization. The effects loop is switchable. Okay, as you can see, it's been used. It's a little rusty. This thing is over 20 years old, but it still functions and works great. We have our boost control for the clean and rhythm channels. Depending on which one you're in, this will function. As I say, this is the master section. Equalization is global. It'll work for any channel, okay, if you have this set to manual mode. So here's our rhythm channel, and you should see that switch up on top as well, and the lead channel, okay. So depending on how you have this set, if you have your rhythm on, you're going to switch between rhythm and lead. If you have your clean on, you're going to switch between lead and clean, etc. It's an easy to use thing, okay. Now, this has a very nice feature over here, which is the EQ assign. So this is our equalization, and we can assign this to any channel and have it switch that just to that channel. Okay, so for instance, right now I have this set in manual mode, and mostly I keep it on manual mode for the most part. You know, certain songs are going to dictate that you have it set up special, but for the most part, I like to switch the EQ when I want it. Otherwise, if you're doing a song that requires a considerable gain boost, and this EQ it boosts or cuts. So right now I have it set up so that when it's engaged, it gives me a little volume boost, which is kind of cool. Okay. So, for instance, with these EQ assign switches, the middle position is just neutral. It's not going to assign it to anything. Okay, both of these are three-way switches, so they both have a middle position. But I can assign this to the lead channel only. So that means when I switch my lead channel on, you see that? I'm switching between clean and lead right now. Now, the equalization just came on simultaneously, which is great, because if you're playing a rhythm, okay, you're on your rhythm channel, there's no equalization on, you go to take a solo and boost the EQ, boom, you got it done. Same thing, you can have this assigned to the rhythm. See how I just switched that to the rhythm? So now when I switch between lead, and you can switch this off, by the way, as well. It's just, okay, it's always independent. But if I switch to the clean sound, boom, there's no equalization. I only want it on the rhythm when it comes on, or comes on the lead. So here I could switch this down to the clean. So now you see how it lit up, and it's just on clean. Okay, so if I turn the lead on, if I have my lead channel dialed differently, and I want that nice clean sound with the EQ, hit the lead channel and it switches that out. So I can get more of a silkier type of, well, it all depends on how you set this thing too, okay? Right now I have it sort of like scooped. So there you have it. And switching to rhythm, I can shut that off. See what I'm saying? So you can assign the EQ to anything you like, and you see what okay? So mostly I keep this on manual, so it'll work in any channel, and that's how I like it. And you can already tell With this array of tone shaping tools you have at your disposal, there's quite a bit of quite a bit going on here. You got all these little switches. You got your shift, your bright, boost, shift, edge, and boost, and this one here has an edge as well. So that coupled with all your EQ functions, and plus remember this is a master volume, so you still have a clean channel with the volume. It's not just a one knob affair, so you have a master volume, and here you have two volumes, which is great. So you can set everything for volume and dial in the amount of gain you'd like as well. So let's get around and jump around back, and we'll have a look and see what's back. Okay, so jumping around the back panel, you can see this amp is made in USA. Yeah, good quality stuff here. Telling you, had it for 20 years. It's never failed me. You got two main fuses. This one's a slow blow and this is a 1 amp. Here's your connector for connecting the power. Alright, and this is a ground, in case you have a ground hum. I usually use it on neutral. I don't tend to have a problem, but I have, and this will fix it. You either set it plus or minus, and that'll take care of your hum loop. Okay, jumping through here. This is a kind of unique feature. This is a mute switch. So it's a power amp mute. So if I'm doing a recording and I'm just recording the preamp out on this thing, I could shut the power amp off, and pretty neat. Just quiet it up. This is a triode pentode switch, so used in conjunction with the front panel switch, which shuts off two of the EL34s. This will drop it down to 25 watts, which is still really loud. Okay, it's going to be loud enough to play with a full band, no problem, even at 25 watts. I mostly leave it up at set for 100 watts. Here we have an impedance selector switch. This is set for the internal 2x12 cabinets. It's set at 8 right now, but I have an external 2x12 cab that I hook up to it, and with a special wire to set that for 16 ohms, because I prefer the sound of the using the entire transformer. The transformer has a tap for 8 and 4 ohms, and you're only using some of the coils on that thing. So when you're set on 16, you're using all the coils in the transformer, and I prefer to use, why not, use the whole transformer, right? So here we have our speaker connects, okay, and here's this is a line output. It's not compensated for anything. It's just a tap off the transformer, I believe, and you could set the level for that. I never use this thing. You could, if you had like an impulse kind of cabinet simulator. That's what you can use that for. But it is a speaker tap, so you are getting the power amp from this line out. Here's your foot switch connector, and as you can see, it's a multi-pin connector that appears to have 6 pins. Here's your switch for your EQ if you're not using the foot switch. Okay, you got an effects loop on this thing, and send and return, in and out if you're not using the foot switch. Or no, this is the in and out. This is high and low to level match your effects. I believe it's going to be either 0 dB or +4. I think it's 0 dB and -10, so I usually have that set at -10 right there. I don't really even use this thing hardly at all. I don't use a heck of a lot of effects, to be honest with you. This is your reverb control. It is foot switchable underneath. If you go underneath here, there's a jack somewhere underneath here for the reverb. And yeah, it's right, it's like buried up in here behind this small transformer. So you can plug a 1/4 inch jack into that, regular foot switch just with a 1/4 inch, and you can turn on and off your reverb. This is an Accutronics tank, okay? You can see the tank down in there. It's pretty transparent, so I tend to just leave this with a little bit of reverb on all the time, and I just kind of set it and forget it, because of the way it is so transparent. I just kind of leave it alone. And here, of course, is your presence, which is also global. This is part of the master section, as well as the reverb. And there you have your serial number, the model number, etc. I originally got this amplifier with the Eminence speakers, which was Fryette had special Eminence speakers for these, but I traded up for these classic leads, and these are great. You'll notice these are made in England. They don't make classic 80s, the classic lead 80s anymore in England. You can still get them, but they're not made in England anymore, and I'm just happy to have a pair of these. Actually, I got 4 of them with the extension cabinet, so I do have made in England Celestion speakers, and these happen to be my favorite. I've tried a bunch of different Celestion speakers, and I do prefer these over all of them that I've tried so far, at least. So that's the back panel. Quite a bit going on here. You got a lot to work with back here. Particularly nice is the power amp mode feature. If you're using it for recording, you shut that off and you come directly out of your send, and you can use your preamp for recording at 0 level, you know, so makes it a nice feature. Of course, you would have to have some sort of cabinet simulator if you're going to, you know, power amp and cabinet simulator if you want to really do it like that. But let's have a look at how many tubes this thing has, because it's just, they're labeled right here. Okay, this first preamp tube is a 12AU7. Then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 12AX7s. And the AT7 right here, that's for reverb. So I got 2, 4, 6, 8 preamp tubes, and a quartet of EL34s. That's a lot of tubes, and it's expensive if you want to retube this amp, let me tell you. So yeah, all these AX7s are for the gain stages and the channels of the amp, and the AU7 as well. That's your primary tube. There's a couple tube socket holders for spare tubes in here, as you can see, and they encourage you to trade out this AU7 with an AT or a AX7. So basically, I left it alone. I prefer the sound with an AU7 coming in there, but I did use a special one. It's a clear top. I don't know if you could see it there, but that, I believe that's an RCA. and I have a Philips over here for the AT7, I believe. The rest of them are just, I think I got a couple JJs. I rolled through the tubes on this amp and found the nicest combination of sounds with the various tubes. So I kind of like it the way it's set right now. I have those in there just as a spare in case I have a problem with one of the preamp tubes, but you usually don't. I could probably pack those away. I don't need them being subject to the massive amounts of volume that you get on this thing. Alright, so let's go ahead and have a little bit of a run through on different tones that's available to you. Okay, so for today's test rig, we have a pair of ADK microphones. Now these are the 51s, Area 51s, A51s, but these are a little different because this has a 10 dB pad on it, and it has a low cut filter. So you get the low cut filter and the 10 dB pad on these, and these are a stereo match pair. So it's a fairly inexpensive microphone if you just get the A51s, but if you get the match pair configured like this with the two little switches, the -10 switch and the low frequency roll off switch, they're a little bit more money for the matched set. So we got that coming into an FMR really nice preamp. That's what they call the thing. It's called a really nice preamp. So we'll have to turn this on because these microphones require 48 volt phantom power, and it's nice the way they have the FMR is they just kind of ramp up the voltage until they're on like that. And coming out of this thing, as you can see, it's coming in and out. We got it coming through a special cable here. Now this cable is specially designed to have a little pad built in it. I don't know if you could see that right there. That is, I had this cable wired for me specifically so I can record into this little Olympus. It's like a handheld recorder, okay? It's really small. And it's got a pair of pretty nice microphones built in it, but obviously we're recording with better microphones today. Coming into that line input is extremely hot with these little recorders, and the Olympus is not the only exception. All of these little handheld recorders record extremely hot, so you can clip them very, very easily. That's why I had this special cable made up which pads the signal about 10 dB or something like that. And out of that we're just coming into an old pair of Sennheiser headphones so I can monitor with, and I'll be using my own guitar which I built myself. I got this wood actually from a sawmill which I used to work at. The dots are ebony and I made them, and all the appointments here are wood, including the back cover plate for the tremolo system. The knob is ebony on there as well, and it's just a simple push-pull knob right there to give you a single coil. So that's the test setup, and we'll be testing these microphones. I'm going to just put them about a couple feet out from in front of the amplifier. They seem to sound pretty good, but this is a nice little portable recording rig, and it does sound fairly decent, as you'll hear. Okay, so let's go.